April 19th, 2024. It's 9 a.m. I'd like to go ahead and open the meeting for the Committee of Bar Examiners. Devin, can we go ahead and get a roll call vote to start the meeting?
Dr. Bolton?
Yes.
Robert Brody?
Present.
Dr. Cow?
Present.
Alex Chan?
Present.
Jim Efting?
Present.
Kareem Gangora? Larry Kaplan? Paul Kramer?
Present.
Alex Lawrence?
Here.
Esther Lynn? Justice Macy Walla?
Here.
Bethany Peak? Ashley Silva Guzman? Judge Reyna?
Here.
Vince Reyes?
Here.
Alan Yokelson?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so much, Devin. We'll go ahead and move on to public comments. As noted on the agenda for today's meeting, public comments during the meeting will be limited. Members of the public wishing to comment were encouraged to submit written comments prior to the meeting to ensure that the committee would have time to consider those comments. The committee has received and read all the written public comments. We thank you for that. The chair or the committee coordinator will attempt to call members of the public in the order that they appear. To facilitate hearing as many members of the public as possible, I encourage you to not repeat points that were made by previous speakers, and to allow the committee the time needed to deliberate on the important topics that we will be discussing today. We'll be limiting public comments to 3 minutes per person. For those of you who are participating via Zoom video, you should have a function for virtually raising your hand. It's a hand icon and should appear at the bottom center of your screen. If you wish to make a public comment, please click on that. For those of you who are participating by phone, you may virtually raise your hand by pressing *9. That's the star key, then the number 9. The coordinator will call members of the public in the order that they identify raised hands and will enable the microphones of the speakers. Are there any public members that wish to make a comment, Devin?
Yes, our first public comment will be from Deb Thorpe.
Hi, I hope you can hear me okay.
We can, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that you're attempting to adjust the scores in response to the unprecedented problems faced by applicants at the Cal Palace. I have doubts about your ability to fairly make these adjustments in light of the fact that applicants have never been subjected to conditions this bad before, nor have you acknowledged the full extent of the problems or that these problems aren't excused by the disclaimer on our admissions tickets. These conditions were direct oversights of the bar and the contractors that were hired to proctor the test. This was not force majeure. Every problem that we were exposed to was a direct result of a decision or lack thereof by staff members in charge of the exam and applicants who suffered foreseeable physical injuries with medical bills as a result. Conditions which constituted a state created danger under 42 U.S.C. section 1983. I was not in the main halls during the test. I was in the lettered halls behind the north and the south halls with the other testing accommodation applicants who required extra time. These halls were not fully enclosed, proper indoor rooms. Hall A, where I was, had 15-foot tall metal sliding doors right next to us that slammed open and shut in the wind, meaning that they let cold and insects come blasting into the room. I was attacked by bees, which I am allergic to during the testing as a result, and because it's basically an outdoor environment. The cursory examination of this room, unquote, unquote room, by any staff member would have revealed that this was basically an outdoor environment and an unsuitable, unsafe, unsanitary, and potentially dangerous condition, especially for applicants who needed additional accommodations during their testing, many of whom, like myself, were older and have physical infirmities, and especially in February when it was 49 degrees at the start of the test. I was attacked by big black bumblebees during the testing, about the size of your first thumb joint. They had more than one because I was buzzed several times right by my face. It's the sort of thing that you would expect in a cattle holding pen. I'm allergic to bees, anaphylactic in fact. So just so you know, getting stung by a bee, it's not easily solved with an EpiPen shot. That shot itself has life-threatening side effects, especially if you've had pretty previous cardiac events or are allergic to sulfates. I fall into both of these categories. An EpiPen is just the best thing that they have for people like me, a Hail Mary, if you will, when the worst happens. So no, I couldn't just shrug off the fact that I had bees buzzing past me during the test. The proctors were made aware of the bees and of my allergy to the bees, yet they refused to place me in an adequate facility knowing of this allergy. Instead, they let me pull my sweater up over my head to protect my exposed skin from being stung. So I had to take my multiple choice question hunched under my sweater, hiding from life-threatening bee stings. How can you possibly adequately adjust my score for this? And adjusting my score isn't the only remedy I require from you. I was wholly denied my disability accommodations, and I was also injured and suffered medical bills. Again, not due to circumstances out of your control, but instead due to the dangers that you directly chose to expose me to by putting me in an unheated, not properly enclosed barn for my testing because I required time and a half due to my disability. I've already informed every staff member of this issue, so I'm shocked that you continue to only acknowledge that it was a little bit cold. You would be changing your mind if you found yourself in the same circumstances, being forced to sit in a 45 to 55
Thank you
degree
for your
concrete
public
room.
comment.
What?
The 3 minutes is up. Thank you for your public comment.
Oh,
Our next public comment is from Benjamin Cohn.
Hello. I definitely join in the request of the previous speaker to consider when the Cow Palace incident affects disparately applicants with testing accommodations compared to standard applicants. The fact that there was also some problems for the standard applicants does not mean it's not disparate treatment if there was an outdoor environment. And while the previous speaker did mention 42 USC 1983, the state-created danger doctrine, to my understanding, is a 14th Amendment issue. Some parties may enforce it through 42 USC 1983, but it could just as easily be enforced through Title II of the ADA under these circumstances, and it would be a disparate treatment violation that was premised on conduct violating the 14th Amendment, in my opinion, as described. Moving to the next point I wanted to make, after the presentation with Dr. Lovett, there were some new things he said that he didn't say the previous time he spoke at the committee meeting that were very concerning, including that the only purpose that was legitimate of a testing accommodation was to resolve issues with how you perform on taking the exam. That is not the case. Despite his claims to the contrary, as a matter of law, the subject that you matter that you have to have equal opportunity to includes all of the conditions and access points to the exam, not just performance. If you're having to suffer medical harms because of the conditions that you test in, if you have to not have the right physical access barriers in place, and it's painful or it's really challenging to even take the test, if you're not even able to access the test with equal burdens because of your disability, all those things are things that accommodations can reasonably be designed to alleviate. It's not just the fact that it's to bring equal comfort even, which was something he said was totally illegitimate as a purpose of accommodations, is a proper subject of accommodation requests, and applying his advice to focus only on test performance would be unlawful. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from February Bar Taker.
Yes, good morning. During the March 15th meeting, Ms. Nunez responded to the testing conditions at Cal Palace during the February 2024 bar examination with 3 statements. I'll address each of those statements. The first, that test takers are advised via the admittance bulletin to anticipate temperatures may fluctuate. While I acknowledge the language on the admittance bulletin, the bulletin lacked sufficient warning of freezing temperatures. There is a difference between cold temperature and freezing temperature. Water left in cold temperatures is just that, It's cold. However, water left in freezing temperatures will freeze, and at least one test taker at Cal Palace reported the water at the bottom of her water bottle froze. No reasonable person in reading the language on the admittance bulletin would have expected freezing temperatures. The second, that being cold is subjective and is difficult to investigate. While being cold may be subjective, there are studies dating back to 1975 on the impacts of cold temperature on cognitive abilities. That research cannot be ignored. The main findings of a systematic review of that research is that a single acute exposure to cold air may impair attention, speed of processing, memory, and executive function, all of which are essential while taking the bar examination. And the third statement was that the bar is conferring with their psychometrician, and should the state bar determine that a grading adjustment is warranted, affected applicants will be notified. To take the bar examination, test takers take time off from work, they pay for childcare, cost of travel to the examination locations, and lodging, all in addition to the increased examination fees. Consideration of just one remedial measure is not sufficient. There is precedent to consider here. The Oregon State Bar faced the same or similar circumstances. In February 2022, the HVAC system at one of the testing locations malfunctioned. Temperatures in the 6 testing rooms range between 50 and 60 degrees, with most being on the lower end of that range for most of the examination. The Oregon Board of Bar Examiners stated in the FAQ document for the February 2022 bar exam, the Oregon Board of Bar Examiners believes that the testing environment very likely affected the performance of a significant number of applicants. However, we cannot quantify the impact on any individual examinee, nor on the cohort as a whole. Given the likelihood that the impact was widespread, the BBX recommended broad remedial measures to the February cohort, including reducing the passage score, providing a credit to applicants who did not pass to retake the bar examination, and authorization to create the provisional licensure program for applicants who did not pass. I urge this committee to consider the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from Ray Hayden.
Okay, all right. So I agree with everybody who has already spoken, but here's my bottom line up front. The entire bar exam must be objective. None of the exam can ever be subjective as the written section is now. Also, I've been a huge advocate and will continue to be is the exam should also be remotely available forever. In taking the California bar exam 6 times myself, I have written passing range answers for every single subject, just not on the same exam. The written portion of the exam is subjective twice because of the cut score and in scaling. The NCBE published their grading suggestions, and I do believe, and we'll show you that California does the same thing. There should be an even number of stacks whereby a grader places applicants' answers. The middle of the stacks is the pass line, and no answer will ever be on that line, but to the left, barely failing, or to the right, barely passing. If an answer is slightly worse, it would be in a stack of answers further to the left of barely failing. And if an answer is better than barely passing, it should be placed in a stack further to the right. Numerical grades don't even matter because someone either passed or they failed. And a really good answer on one question might help a person recover from a not so good answer on another question, but probably won't. California published a chart, not buried on purpose, I'm sure, but it is deep within the report, just the way it falls out, 305 pages. In that report, there is a chart which I sent in a secondary public comment. That chart is an image, and it clearly demonstrates that most individual written portions of an exam are actually failing scores. In that chart, the midline was between 55 and 60, and at that time, 60 was barely failing. I have published, that means to the right of that line was barely failing as well. I published this chart, turned it on its side, and reversed it to make it mindfully obvious to anyone who really looks at it. The bar exam everywhere with the cut score and scaling combined is specifically designed to fail people, not to evaluate them. I created my definition sheets for both the first year law students exam, 16 pages, and the California General Bar exam, 36 pages. And there are currently admitted attorneys in California who have passed their bar exam in part to using these definition sheets, which I give away. And I also explain and publish how I created them so that anyone could create their own using the same methodology. All in a promise I made to myself to help anyone I can to pass this examination. On the MBE, which is going away anyway. But of the 810 released in current-ish MBE questions, I've memorized all of them. And I can tell you that they are full of tricks and traps. But even 100% of those only have one correct answer. But memorizing with complete understanding of why the right answer is right and why the wrong answers are wrong, just a second, I'm done. All 810 of those MBEs are no guarantee that anyone will score well on the actual exam.
Thank you for your public comment. We do not have any additional online public comments. Is there anyone in the Los Angeles office that wishes to make public comment?
Devin, no one. Oh, I see a hand raised. Sorry.
Oh, we have someone else online that'd like to make public comment.
There's nobody in San Francisco either.
Thank you. Phone number with the last four digits 9002.
Yes, hi, good morning. Am I coming through okay?
You are, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good morning. I was also an examinee for the February bar exam administered at the Cal Palace, and I'd just like to share my experience. It seems to be representative of quite a few of the test takers regarding the distractions present due to the temperature and lack of adequate bathroom facilities. Regarding the temperature issue, I planned ahead by dressing warmly and also brought an extra sweater just in case. I did my due diligence. I checked the facility out ahead of time. I perceived that it could get drafty. But even with dressing warmly and my extra sweater, I was blowing on my fingers to keep them warm while the instructions were being given, and I couldn't bring my core body temperature up to a point where I wasn't shivering during the first day of the exam. Regarding the bathroom issue, there were 2 restrooms available to women testing in the South Hall, and one of those was unavailable at the break due to the understandable policy of immediately securing the testing area. This left several hundred women on a short lunch break with only 1 bathroom available, though, and there were no other public bathrooms in the vicinity. The first day of the exam, I got in a long line to use the bathroom, and it took up 25 minutes of my break. The second day, I opted to drink less water than normal and skipped the bathroom in order to prioritize eating my lunch and taking a break. I would just like to express my concern that while some reasonable distractions are to be expected, the examinee should not have to experience the unreasonable distractions of shivering while trying to concentrate and choosing between hydration, a full bladder, or a full lunch break. Examinees like myself carefully took initiative to eliminate as many external distractions as possible by managing proper clothing, food, sleep, and exercise. This is the typical examinee's way of respecting the importance of the exam. It does not seem right, therefore, to conversely have the exam administered in a way that communicates disrespect to the examinees by not providing basic, adequate conditions for taking such an important exam. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public in the LA office that wish to make public comment?
No members of the public here at the LA office.
We do not have any additional public comments.
All right, thank you so much, Devin. We will go ahead and move on to our next agenda item, which is approval of the March 15th, 2024 Committee of Bar Examiners public meeting minutes. I'd like to go ahead and see if we can get if there's any questions or comments on this. All right, if seeing none, can we get a motion?
This is Robbie. I'll move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Robbie.
I'll second. This is Alan.
Thank you, Alan. Is there any discussion about this motion or debate about this motion for approval of the minutes? Seeing none, Devin, can we go ahead and get a roll call vote?
Dr. Bolton?
Yes.
Robert Brody?
Yes.
Alex Chan? Alex Chan? Jim Efting?
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't there.
Kareem Gangora?
Yes.
Larry Kaplan?
Yes.
Paul Kramer?
Yes.
Alex Lawrence,
Yes.
Esther Lynn, Justice Macy Walla,
Yes.
Bethany Peak, Ashley Silva Guzman,
Yes.
Judge Reyna,
Yes.
Vince Reyes, Vince Reyes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Alan Yokelson,
Yes.
Dr. Cow,
Yes.
with 12 yeses and 0 nos, the motion passes.
Thank you, Devin. We'll move on to the chair's report. I just wanted to note today that at 10 a.m. we have a special set, the discussion on action on cost reduction initiatives related to the bar exam, beginning with the February 2025 administration, just to remind everyone. The second thing I just wanted to note is that I think back in October, we had our immediate past chair, Paul Kramer, discuss with us about the consensus work plan. And I just wanted to remind everyone at the CBE that if anyone had any questions about it, that we could discuss that. We'll be putting it on the agenda for the next meeting, so we could have a discussion if any CBE members has questions about the consensus work plan, so that we can be updated on that. Are there any questions on that? All right, thank you. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 2, which is the consent agenda. The consent calendar is voted on and approved as an omnibus item, meaning one vote for the entire calendar unless a board member decides to pull something off the consent calendar. Are there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? May I get a motion for the consent?
Dr.
Yes,
Cow,
go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Before the committee votes, I wanted to just note 2 updates on the administrative updates related to law schools. First, the committee received an updated copy of that item last night that reflected a small change to item 1. Item 1 was in relation to the hiring of a new administrator at Lincoln Law School, San Jose, and we removed a comment related to the purpose for that hire. And then I wanted to also provide an update that's not reflected in the updated version that was shared with the committee last night, which is that Irvine College of Law has identified a custodian for the records, which will be Westcliff University. This would be typically included in this admin update, but this is information that we've just recently received.
Cody, thank you so much for the update. Are there any questions from our members concerning the 2 updates that Cody has just discussed? Okay, seeing none, may we get a motion for the consent agenda?
This is Robbie. I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
May we get a second?
This is Alan. I'll second.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Alan. Are there any discussions or debates about the consent agenda? Any items that a CBE member would like to pull? Seeing none, Devin, may we get a roll call vote?
Dr. Bolton,
Yes.
Robert Brody,
Yes.
Alex Chan,
Yes.
Jim Efting,
Yes.
Kareem Gangora,
Yes.
Larry Kaplan,
Yes.
Paul Kramer,
Yes.
Alex Lawrence,
Yes.
Esther Lynn, Justice Macy Walla,
Yes.
Bethany Peak, Ashley Silva Guzman,
Yes.
Judge Reyna,
Yes.
Vince Reyes,
Yes.
Alan Yokelson,
Yes.
Dr. Cow,
Yes.
with 14 yeses and 0 nos, the motion passes.
Thank you, Devin. So as I noted in chair's time, agenda item number 3 under operations and management is a special set at 10 a.m. So Natalie and Paul, is it okay that we go ahead and start agenda item number 4, which is educational standards? Would that be okay with you? All right. So we're going to go to agenda item number 4, which is ed standards. First one is action on major change change of ownership Taft Law School. Can I turn it over to you, Natalie and Paul?
Sure. I see that Paul's tile, his video camera is off, so I want to make sure that he can start, and if not, I'll be happy to do so. Okay, well, I'll just get going. So this item relates to Taft Law School, Santa Ana Unaccredited Registered Correspondence Law School. This organization was started by a family in concert with William H. Taft University, which is located in Colorado. It's always been operated by the family. Mr. Boyd Sr. has passed, and Mrs. Boyd and the family are ready to make a transition to son C. Robert Boyd, as noted in the item. So right now the school is held in a family trust, and going forward, C. Robert Boyd would be the outright owner of the school. Mr. Boyd is already significantly involved in the day-to-day management of the school, as well as the university in Colorado, meets frequently with the dean, Dean Jolly. The team is here today if there are any questions, but otherwise they just like to make this family planning transfer. Are there any questions about this proposed change of ownership of Taft Law School? Seeing none, is there anyone ready to make a motion?
Well, this is Alan. I'll make the motion.
This is Robbie. I'll second. We're doing quite a bit of heavy lifting around here.
Yeah.
You guys are like
Thank you.
What are these two?
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Robbie. Devin, can we go ahead and get a roll call vote?
Dr. Bolton,
Yes.
Robert Brody,
Yes.
Alex Chan, Jim Efting.
Yes. Yes. I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Thank you. Kareem Gangora,
Yes.
Larry Kaplan,
Yes.
Paul Kramer,
Yes.
Alex Lawrence,
Yes.
Esther Lynn, Justice Macy Walla,
Yes.
Bethany Peak, Ashley Silva Guzman,
Yes.
Judge Reyna,
Yes.
Vince Reyes,
Yes.
Alan Yokelson,
Yes.
Dr. Cow.
Yes.
With 14 yeses and 0 nos, the motion passes.
Thank you, Devin. We'll move on to the next agenda item under Ed Standards. Natalie and Paul, the discussion and action on strategy to improve outcomes in unaccredited law schools.
Let me start, Natalie. So at our last meeting, we started to tee up this issue to get our thinking caps activated. And are you hearing me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now staff has come back with a little more details, but the purpose of today's proposed action is to get the committee's feedback and decide which of the various tools that we've identified among the subcommittee and the whole group that we want to explore further. The purpose, again, that you'll probably recall that we received a report on the performance of our registered law schools and are, I think, generally desiring to help them improve, whether it's, with providing tools to them, perhaps, or just providing regulatory requirements that will prompt or require them to improve their performance. There's, I think it's 4 items now we have for discussion today. I'll just note that consideration of mandatory transition for registered schools to accredited school status is also on our work plan. We're not going to talk about it today, but that is something we've decided in the past to at least explore. And so depending on what we tell staff today, they'll bring back 1 or more of these items, and then eventually that other item, the mandatory accreditation, for us to consider at future meetings. So today, if there's something that just really doesn't work for us, for whatever reason, practicality, policy, we can avoid staff spending a lot of time. And Alan and I, we're a subcommittee, or a working group rather, that will be working on this with Natalie and Cody and perhaps others. So with that, Natalie, go ahead and remind us of the tools that we've been talking about for background.
Sure. Yeah, so I would like to ask Cody if he could for a moment actually just to place the motion up on the board for everyone to see. So because it summarizes all four of the potential options there. As you know, I'm going to be presenting to you a rules revision very shortly for the accredited law school rules. Each of the sections of the admissions rules have undergone that standard review. The accredited rules have already done so, unaccredited now. And thinking about whether or not some of these concepts should be included is a process that can be really helped by your feedback. So the four options, thanks, Cody. Some of these were discussed in January. Some of them were developed through staff research, through consulting with your liaisons, Paul Kramer and Alan Yokelson. Thanks to you both. And also heading out to get feedback from stakeholders as you requested, not only CS BARS, but also the Council on Access and Fairness. The Council on Access and Fairness has expressed support for this initiative in general. They defer to the committee as to choice of action. They also stand ready and have stood ready in the past to help with additional projects. For example, at one point, they did a survey looking at academic support programs across all of the different types of schools that has been very helpful. So the action that we're asking the committee to consider today is to look at these four items and to consider which one or several you would like staff to continue to develop through consultation with other stakeholders. The first of these is strategic use of standardized exams to inform admissions. So right now, an admission score or other evaluation tool is optional for accredited schools. The committee looked at the highest level of attrition, which is in the unaccredited category. So one option to assist both the student as well as the school would be to add a standardized score to the package, whether that's an LSAT, a GRE, potentially the new JD Next product. And we brought that JD Next product to you recently. The ABA considered it and right now is allowing it on a variance basis. We could bring more information about that in the future. I'll go through all four just quickly and then we'll circle back. The second one came from the discussion with Paul and Alan, researching methods to further track and reduce attrition. So some of the things we've done so far are to have a law school assembly which focused on programs to improve diverse retention at law schools, brought several schools that had strong initiatives. We also have used the data from the academic support survey that was conducted by Access and Fairness. And we brought Dr. Hunter Gelbach from Johns Hopkins University to talk about how a professor can connect with every student in their class, whether they are similar or different in their backgrounds. Third option raised by CS BARS, collecting demographic data tailored to non-traditional students. The schools that are both unaccredited and accredited have a special competence and a deep experience in bringing non-traditional students, first-generation students, later life learners to law schools, and having more visibility into that through tracking could be helpful. And then finally, we talked a little bit more at length in January about potentially adding a minimum pass rate for both the first-year law students exam and also NPR for the bar exam for unaccredited law schools. This has been in place for a number of years and reported continuously since 2018 for the accredited schools. And we've seen the NPR overall continue to increase since that was adopted, and we hope the effects would be the same here. So these are the four options: entrance exams or other evaluation tools, methods to further track and reduce attrition, either through the rules or through qualitative programs, additional demographic data likely collected through the annual report, and minimum pass rates. Paul, do you have any initial comments, or Alan, before we open the discussion?
No, not really, Alan.
You know, the question is asked here, what do we recommend? And I'm actually up in the air. I'm thinking all four of these are great areas to explore. But I'd like to know staff's thoughts, if that's even practicable.
Oh, and I can share my thoughts too.
Yeah.
I think number 3 is more just data collecting. I don't know that it's a tool to improve outcomes, but I know at CS Bars, they were interested in having this data. I'm focused on improving the outcomes, you know, in a student demographic neutral way. Not and I wouldn't see. I don't think we can have different tools for different types of student. Our goal is that ultimately they receive a good education that qualifies them both to pass the bar exam, but also to be, you know, useful members of the legal community once they do that and serve their clients well. But it doesn't hurt to have the data. In that regard, Natalie, I think you said that it's not currently collected by any of the schools. Is that right?
Not all of, no school is collecting all of the measures that were raised, but some schools are collecting some of the information. We could start by talking with those schools that are collecting some of the information and see how it may have helped them.
But yeah, I think attrition is one thing that's really gotten our attention in the last few years. We've run into a school or two where 90% of the incoming first-year class doesn't make it to the JD degree, and you know, given what these schools cost, that's a economic tragedy for those students who attrit out.
Also remember that that choosing one doesn't preclude choosing another in the future, or not selecting one at this time doesn't mean that it's not effective or couldn't be addressed in the future. Vince, do you have any general comments before we start to look at them one by one?
No, no, my comment is specific to number 3, so I can do that now or later.
Up to you.
Go ahead.
I agree with Paul in the sense that collecting that particular type of data probably won't improve, doesn't do much to improve the outcomes. However, I think it's informative in terms of outreach, which, you know, could be the responsibility of local bar associations or the law schools itself. So, because as I look at the way data is collected now, some groups, particularly Asian Americans, Latinos, it's not stratified enough. So I think that for those 2 ethnic groups, there's a lot of subgroups of that are maybe more first generation, or their populations are smaller, and they tend to get overlooked in terms of outreach, or their economic situation may be such that they can't get into law school, or they weren't introduced to the idea of becoming an attorney at an earlier time in their educational journey. So I like the collecting of it. I do agree that it probably doesn't improve the outcome once you're there, but I think it is informative for outreach in the future.
Okay, so at this time, I'll pull the motion down just so we can have a discussion in which we can all see each other. And I think what I would suggest is, rather than each of these have some value in their own way. So I think I would focus the discussion on not so much on whether each of these are of quality, because each does definitely have good qualities, but which you would like to see on a near-term plan for staff. And I'll start from the bottom. I'm thinking about a minimum cumulative pass rate for the first year and the bar exam, knowing that any type of measure like that would need a period of time to determine the correct period of time to make sure that it's elastic to include all of the licensure options, such as the PLP expanded program. And Paul, is this one that you would recommend that we bring forward at this time?
Yeah, I want to add another thought though, and that's because of the, you know, the overhead and of amending the rules. You know, once we do it, we'll be really tempted not to touch them for a while, because you know the cost of ramping up all the mechanisms, the consultations with the stakeholders. So I would prefer to see that anything, you know, we not just adopt one or two things and call it a day for a couple of years, but maybe take a little more time and build more of what we really want into one package. So it, you know, it takes effect much sooner in time than it would if we piecemeal it, you know, because the other work gets in the way. And I just hate to see that happen. I know if any kind of legislative change, you know, we don't want to go over to the legislature too often asking for things, in part because they may ask for something else in return, and we worry about that. But also, you know, that's a really heavy lift process.
Well, and as it stands right now, these 4 options that are proposed do not require statutory change. So that would not be a part of this package. And Paul, are you speaking specifically to the pass rate item, or just generally?
Well, let's see. I don't have them up in front of me again, but I think, well, the whole package. I mean, what we're also talking about, just so people know, in the revised rules, is streamlining the compliance process. Right now, there's so many steps that it allows schools to delay coming into compliance to some degree, and it also increases our workload, because we had a school where the owner had closed it down, left the country, and I think it was on 4 or 5 successive agendas of ours just to go through the process of terminating its registration. So that's one thing that's not even on the list today that I want to tackle for sure. And there's other probably clarifying changes to the rules. But of these, I think all 4 are worth trying to put into the package. I don't see any reason to just pick 1 or 2 if we want to do all 4, or at least investigate them.
Would you like to make the motion for all 4 going forward?
Well, does anyone else want to say anything about this? Any concerns about any of them, or anything else you think should be on the list? I guess not.
And just to scope our discussion, Paul mentioned some other possibilities that affect other parts of the rules unrelated to attrition. And we have been keeping track of the requests and questions from the committee and from CS bars over the past several years, and those will automatically be a part of the review.
Yeah, streamlining the compliance process was something we did in the accredited rules, and unless there's a good reason, I think we should basically copy that as much as we can for the registered schools.
Mm-hmm.
It's just simpler. We don't have to constantly have to go back to the rules to make sure we're doing it the right way for the 2 different kinds of schools. So yeah, if nobody has anything to add, I'll make the motion.
This is Michael. Can I ask a question, Paul?
Sure.
So with these 4 items, what do you think is the timeline that you'll be able to gather the information, to be able to digest information, to kind of come up with a strategy with that? What were you and Natalie and Alan thinking about timelines with that?
I would suggest bringing them up sequentially over time. No one precludes any other. And then you can see if a more developed proposal meets your expectations, or if it raises further questions. So to see them phased in over a number of future meetings.
Yeah, I think it's probably good for us to get buy-in on the details of what we want to say in the rules before we spend too much time writing them. Because that can be a time waste when at least in my case, when I try to write something and I don't know really what I want to say, the product doesn't look as good when it's finalized, and I spend more time on it than I need to. So yeah, we would bring back the details. Yeah, it's hard to say, but I would hope we could finish this by the end of this year. At least have a draft set of rules revisions out, because then we have to consult with the schools. And that'll, add a few months at least.
And then Paul and Natalie, I have a second question. You had mentioned attrition rate. Could you elaborate for us about the attrition rate so that we kind of have a better perspective of that?
Sure. So I have some data, and very soon we'll have some more data that we'll bring to share. We've been talking about attrition rates as a category. And for reference, an ABA standard is if a school has 20% or greater attrition over a period of years, then it will be considered a compliance issue, and the ABA will work with the school to support it. Here, we don't have specific measures right now, and it is unclear whether we should. They may need to be more flexible than they are now, but we have begun collecting data about attrition between the 1L and 2L year. Our current annual reports take us through 2L and 3L. So we'll be looking at that data to think about, to really crystallize exactly what we can tell about the problem and then ways to support the school.
Don't we have some examples though?
Yeah,
Natalie?
We do know the 1L attrition with clarity, and we do know the progression through the 6061 examples, and it does vary by school. And we haven't necessarily prepared any particular school with the context of the circumstances, but that's something that we could share in the future because it is part of their 6061 report that we do collect, and each school posts that on the admissions page of their website so that prospective students can see it when they're thinking about where they'd like to go to school.
And again, that's one of the sides of the coin. Do you want to let people just gamble and gamble a lot of money and maybe never make it out of law school or never pass the bar? Or, it's balancing the protection of the students against encouraging dreams, if you will. And that's a kind of a hard line to draw, but I think with some guidelines it would be useful. We could probably, if a school say had 90% attrition, I think we could question the soundness of their program perhaps. But we would like, in order to be able to have a good hard discussion with a school like that, have a more concrete standard that we could point to say this. Look, this can't happen, can't keep happening, rather than just relying on some of the general, very vague standards that we have in our current rules.
And if nothing else, we have to have something that we can affirmatively talk about with these schools or publicize for the potential students to help them make their decision as to whether or not they want to take that gamble. Because these schools are very expensive. I think Robbie has a comment.
Well, Natalie, hi, this is Robbie. I just wanted to ask, what are you thinking about in terms of cost and staffing to the bar? I mean, these are all great proposals, but gosh, they're really far reaching. What are you think? Are you thinking that you'll need additional staffing, or what's your idea budget wise?
Well, we weren't sure how many of these the committee would select prior to today. So that was part of what we were waiting to see, but we were intending to work with the current staff that we have to put together these proposals for you. Many of them have, at least a template or cognate for us to use. So for example, the NPR, we already have an NPR that we use with the accredited schools, and unaccredited schools are also already very supportive of adding that as a measure. For example, so there will be the cost of the additional validation, but that's something we'd probably be doing anyway. in thinking about mandatory accreditation at some point in the future. So it would be intended with current staff. With respect to additional programs in attrition, as that's fleshed out, we could decide. But really, in the short, it's current staff.
Okay, thanks, Natalie.
Larry has a
I have a
comment.
question. Do you study why people attrit?
Yes, in a number of ways. So in the annual report, there is student self-reported identification of reason. We can't verify. So a student may say, I'm leaving for financial reasons, but their academic performance may be poor. Their academic performance may be excellent, but they may have a family circumstance. We take their self-reported reason. We look at general research in the field, and then we do things like the law school assembly program, where we've brought in schools that have had very good retention results and look at what they do qualitatively. So we look at both quantitative data and qualitative data. I also think that each school, relative to its mission, might choose a different outcome to improve the retention at school.
Is it common for for people who go to an unaccredited school to then, after the first year or so, transfer, they get good grades and they decide they want to transfer to an accredited school, either a Cal or a ABA school? Does that happen?
That does happen. Usually a few students will do that each year. We don't have specific statistics on exactly how many, but generally the top few students might consider trying to transfer. And now that more schools offer an online program, we would probably see more movement. And so that's part of what we would think about too, is a person, we can look at concept of transfer attrition. So they're continuing their legal education, just not at this school, and non-transfer attrition.
Okay, there's a motion out there. Is there a second?
This is Robbie. I'll second that motion. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, let's put it up again so everyone can see
Thank you.
the list of items. And I'll just note, number one, I think, that's really, that's a aspect of the attrition problem is, being more careful about who you admit, based on their likely chances to be able to perform through the law school curriculum. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Devin?
Dr. Bolton,
Yes.
Robert Brody,
Yes.
Alex Chan,
Yes.
Jim Epting,
Yes.
Kareem Gangora,
Yes.
Larry Kaplan,
Yes.
Paul Kramer,
Yes.
Alex Lawrence,
Yes.
Esther Lynn, Justice Macy Walla,
Yes.
Bethany Peak, Ashley Silva Guzman,
Yes.
Judge Reyna,
Yes.
Vince Reyes,
Yes.
Alan Yokelson,
Yes.
Dr. Cow.
Yes.
With 14 yeses and 0 nos, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Devin. So this concludes agenda item number 4 under Ed Standards. So seeing that we have the special set at 10 a.m., would it be okay with everyone? We took a 5-minute break and then we reconvene at 10 a.m. for the special set. I see a thumbs up. Thank you, Justice. All right. Okay, we'll be back at 10 a.m. for our special set. All right, it's 10 a.m. Devin, do you think that people are coming back?
Yeah, it looks like people are coming back in.
All right, okay. Seeing that, we're going to go back to agenda item number 3, which is under operations and management. This is the action on cost reduction initiatives related to the bar exam, beginning with the February 2025 administration. So I'm going to turn it over to Audrey, Cody, and Amy.
Cody's going to get started.
Great. Yep. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cao. I am joined, as you mentioned, by Audrey Ching, the Director of Office of Admissions, and Amy Nunez, a fellow program director. Following our presentation, we'll also have members of the State Bar's Office of Finance join to provide some additional context about the budgetary considerations. And this was in response to, I think, a committee request made at the March meeting. We also have Dr. Chad Buckendahl, who presented at the committee at its March meeting to discuss some of the psychometric considerations related to exam development. He will be in attendance today to help address any further questions about the process. So today we're going to discuss the proposal that was brought forward during the March 2024 committee meeting. This proposal, as you likely remember, revolved around the development of new bar exam questions, bar exam questions with a new vendor, which would pave the way for the adoption of alternative cost-effective exam administration approaches, with our goal being to start those new approaches at the February 2025 bar exam administration. One of the challenges we identified at the March meeting was that to adopt an alternative cost-effective exam administration approach, the State Bar would first need to retain a new vendor to develop multiple choice questions. And that is because the National Conference of Bar Examiners prohibits how the current questions, commonly referred to as the multi-state bar exam or the MBE, can be administered. And so I wanted to first start with some important context. As I mentioned, the Department of Finance Office of Finance team will be discussing some more budget considerations, but one of the main drivers of this initiative is the reality that the admissions fund faces insolvency in 2026. And so we've identified one of these new exam administration approaches as really one of the most critical ways that we can help address these budget concerns. And to be able to, again, to adopt those alternative methods, we need to retain a new vendor. But it's really important to note that what we are proposing is not an alteration of the exam. It is only a proposal to change the vendor used for developing our exam questions. And we'll discuss throughout today's presentation the various methods and techniques that will be used to ensure that the questions developed by a new vendor are truly equivalent to the current multiple choice questions. So we presented this proposal, some initial contours of the proposal at the March meeting. Since then, our staff collaborated with committee liaisons to explore the available options. We also engaged stakeholders, including law schools and the public, through various means to capture additional input that helps inform today's discussion. And so we're going to share the results of that continued exploration with the committee today. And what we're seeking from the committee is a recommendation to the Board of Trustees that the State Bar retain a new vendor to develop these bar exam questions. So before we get into developing new questions with a vendor and what that proposal would look like, I wanted to remind the committee what the flexibility that this proposal would provide. And so by adopting a new vendor to develop questions, we would have the freedom to explore various exam administration approaches. 3 have been the focus of our efforts recently. They include a fully remote exam This would be online using live proctoring, which is a distinct and separate approach than the record and review process used during the pandemic era. Also vendor-owned test centers, which are smaller test settings distributed across the state, or a combination of both. As we mentioned, one of the key drivers of this proposal is the necessary cost savings. Adopting one of these alternatives could yield, according to our estimates, annual savings between $3 million and $4.3 million, which would largely or entirely eliminate the existing deficit. But it's also important to note that there are other considerations. While the budget concerns might be an impetus for this proposal, we have also found that one of these alternative administration approaches actually aligns with test takers' preferences. We surveyed 1,500 exam takers from the February 2024 bar exam after they sat for the exam, and 75% of those applicants said that they would have preferred a remote test setting or a smaller test setting. And of course, there's additional benefits to one of these approaches, reduced travel costs, lodging costs, and other benefits that applicants, I think, have shared are important to them. So that's the flexibility, but of course, the backbone of today's proposal is a recommendation that we retain a new vendor for question development. And so in January of 2024, the State Bar issued a request for information, an RFI, seeking proposals from potential vendors to develop multiple choice questions equivalent to the MBE. One proposal under consideration was presented by a test prep vendor with years of experience developing MBE-like questions. This proposal under consideration would require that if retained, this vendor would leave the test prep industry in California. This proposal meets the RFI's requirements that any vendor that the State Bar retains meet the high standards for exam validity and security and reliability, as well as industry best practices as defined in the standards for educational and psychological testing. So we really use the gold standard of criteria to help us identify vendors that are truly capable. The vendor that's under consideration, the proposals brought forward include a timeline that would allow the State Bar to administer new questions beginning in February 2025. And the proposal, interestingly, includes a study guide that would be offered to all bar exam applicants at no cost. And so this proposal is under consideration, and there are discussions that are still ongoing, so I cannot share more about the vendor at this time. However, I want to share that there are important guidelines kind of leading the discussion and the development of an agreement, one of them being that the State Bar retains the intellectual property rights to these questions. So once the State Bar has retained a new vendor, exam development and content validity processes will ensue. And there's been a lot of questions, I think, about the approaches that the State Bar are planning to take. And I want to identify how our proposed course of action really aligns with industry best practices. We have been in consultation with Dr. Chad Buckendahl, and again, he will be here for the committee to ask questions. But we have committed to employing these industry best practices, and I'll do my best to quickly summarize those steps in this slide. So during the initial question development and before exam administration, the vendor is required to maintain those high standards set by the bar and by best practices. That does not mean that the vendor gets to produce questions without any level of evaluation. Again, per best practices, the State Bar intends to convene a panel of experts, which would include recently licensed attorneys, their supervisors, and law school faculty, to evaluate these questions produced by the vendor, ensure that they are aligned with the MBE content areas, writing style, and they truly assess minimum competencies. So these steps combined ensure that by time questions are administered, there is an expectation that they meet certain criteria. The second point here, I think, is absolutely crucial. The most valuable data to the validation process is collected at the time of administration when questions are introduced to a representative sample of applicants who are highly motivated. And what this means is that regardless of the scenario in front of the state bar, regardless of the timeline or the available pre-testing, the necessary data required for appropriate validation has to be collected at administration. The last step in this process, again informed by these industry best practice, is that data collected at the time of administration is analyzed afterwards using an approach called item response theory to provide baseline data for future exams. So that's kind of a quick summary of those steps. And again, Dr. Buckendall will be available following the presentation. So that summarizes a bit about our proposal. I'm going to pass it to Audrey to share a little bit more about our stakeholder efforts thus far.
Thank you, Cody. Good morning, everyone. So 5 weeks ago at our last Committee of Bar Examiners meeting, we talked about what we would do between the March meeting and the April meeting. So I'm going to summarize what we've done. So I asked for committee volunteers to be liaisons. So thank you to Vince Reyes, Larry Kaplan, Robbie Brody, and Alex Chan for meeting with us as committee liaisons over the past 5 weeks as we were discussing and iterating on the presentation between March and today. We had 2 law school meetings, one with the accredited and registered unaccredited law schools, and one with the ABA approved law schools. The concerns raised during those 2 stakeholder meetings are summarized in the item, and I'm going to go through them as well in the next couple of slides. But there's one engagement point that we did not have time to summarize because it was this week on Tuesday, the stakeholder input form that was open to the public, where we had law school representatives there. We had applicants who might be sitting the exam in February or July 25, and we had just other members of the public come and make comments. So just to summarize some of those comments, in general, there was a lot of support for the proposal to develop the new questions, especially as it would relate to being able to test remotely or in smaller test centers because we would have more flexibility. There were inquiries from law schools and applicants about when we might have those state bar study resources available. There was some confusion, and Amy's going to, and her part of the presentation, speak to this a little bit about all the different pending initiatives that are happening with bar exam or licensure this year, things that are up in the air from the Supreme Court, and confusing that a little with this proposal. So we're going to hopefully detangle and address that and not confuse the public anymore. And then there was a conversation about those multiple choice item writing and best practices for developing multiple choice questions. So that's just some of the things that came up just this week. And I'm going to go through some of those concerns over the next slides. Okay, a concern that has come up in the law school meetings is about timeline. So the timeline seems aggressive to develop these questions between now and the February bar exam. But we're confident with the time frame. We've been working through the time frame with the vendor under consideration. And like Cody said, part of the time frame is getting the multiple choice questions to us in different batches so our content validation teams can review and iterate, and getting things in good shape to be able to have the valid and reliable set of multiple choice questions in time and plenty of time for the February bar exam. In addition, we also did something similar over the past couple years with the first year multiple choice refresh. So you'll remember we had multiple choice items that were in the bank that hadn't been through a refresh that we needed to go through. So similarly, we went through hundreds of those items with a content validation team. They were refreshed and now they're in the item bank for the first year exam that we are currently administering and that we are actually changing to all multiple choice. As Cody just mentioned, regardless of timeline, if we move to administering new content in February 2025, if we move to administering new content in July 2025, if we move in February 26, regardless of timeline, because of the way testing works for new content, and it's going to work the same way for the NCBE's next gen exam, It's worked the same way when the AICPA just changed the CPA exam. So there's 4 parts of the CPA exam. They did a big overhaul of that. Anytime there's new item content, there's a whole new exam. If we are directed to develop a California entirely new bar exam, anytime that we have new content or a new exam, that first administration is when you will have the data gathered operationally, because that is the time where the statistics on how those items functions have to be tested in the high stakes environment. So no matter when we move to changing the multiple choice section of the exam, it will have that issue about new questions being introduced and data being gathered during the test administration. So that is going to happen regardless of timeline. One really useful piece of stakeholder feedback that we've received is about the ability to at least field test some of the questions. So we are having the bar exam experiment in October 2024. That was going on. We've been developing with the Access Lex grant. We did a pilot, you'll remember, last fall. And then this fall, we're going to do hopefully about 2,000 law students testing different things that we could change with a future bar exam, including like open book. So because we already had that experiment in place, what we will do is field test some of those questions in the October experiment. So we do have not only the content validation team going through and looking at the questions, then we will also have a field test in October 24 of these questions as part of our ongoing experiment. And then operationally, when we do deploy the new questions in February, that is where we'll deploy the item response theory and get the actual data based on a live administration. Next slide. Okay, other concerns were from our stakeholders were about using existing bar prep materials, you know, that obviously law students or repeat takers have different ways that they prepare for the bar exam. And because the goal is to replicate the MBE, the multi-state bar exam questions exactly, there will be no modification in training and preparation. And in addition, we are going to work and provide, we were already going to modify the content maps we have posted on the website. That should be posted and updated actually in time for this July's exam. So there's a little more robust information on the website about the written questions, so the essays and the PTs. So that will already be part of how people might, you know, study just in general. Part of the stakeholder feedback from the faculty was about their fall classes and how they do bar prep in the fall. So we are going to prepare a faculty guide with sample questions in time for those fall classes. We also, the plan might be, ideally, when someone registers for the February bar exam, they will also get this free study guide that has some of those outlines and sample questions at no cost to them. Similar to what the NCBE charges on their website for. They charge students for those kinds of sample questions and study guides currently, and we will provide them to the applicant at no cost. And then in terms of preparation exam, again, some of the law schools are talking about the way people prepare and practice and how they do their practice exams at home. And just similarly to how the exam is now, how you perform on a practice exam at home and how you perform on an actual exam, there is no way to guarantee. And I don't think any of the vendors 100% guarantee 100% correlation between a practice exam and the actual exam. Next slide. All right, I already mentioned this, so we are going to fold in a field test of those newly developed questions into the existing experiment that we have in October 2024. And then back to what we were talking about in terms of whenever we move to a new exam content in an administration, there will be operational data gathered. So I was talking about that a few slides ago, but during the stakeholder meeting with the California Accredited and the registered schools, that gave some of those deans pause because of their NPR and what that might mean and their concerns about having that operational pretest in the February exam. So something the committee can consider, and it doesn't have to be today, is whether or not we should be tracking the NPR data exactly the same way we do now in February and July 25, but maybe not average it into the NPR over the 5-year rolling average. So that's something we were thinking about. We put it out in the item for you to consider as well, whether or not we should put a pin in 2025 for the NPR, gather the data, but not put it into the 5-year average. Something to consider in response to the concerns. All right, this is Amy's slide.
Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. So in summary, what does this mean for the California bar exam and for our future planning? As you know, and for some context, we're waiting to hear back from the Supreme Court on their response to the blue ribbon recommendations. And that recommendation was for California to redesign the bar exam, and preliminary exploration of what it would cost to develop an exam indicate that this cost would be in the millions of dollars to develop and redesign the exam. And this is an unfunded initiative at the moment. So today's proposal, again, is a separate effort, but it will help us start saving to cover that cost when that time comes. The BRC would require that also that the state bar replace the MBE. And the MBE itself is scheduled to phase out by 2028. So this proposal expedites that shift that will eventually be required, the shift from the NCBE, and this will allow us to start saving almost immediately, or as this is being implemented. So as for future cost, the BRC recommendations also include the development of a portfolio exam, aside from the redesign of the California bar exam. And that portfolio bar exam will require resources, staff and financial resources to design the program and assessments that are required for this alternative licensing pathway. And that's another unfunded initiative. So this makes cost savings very critical. So what can be gained from this proposal? So retaining a new development vendor obviously will help with immediate cost savings, but it'll also help staff on the future efforts that may be required of the state bar, whether it's a redesign of the exam, or whether it's developing an alternative licensing program. Staff stands to gain firsthand knowledge and experience on vendor selection, design considerations, and overall vetting process. So we will be better poised to identify expertise in exam development and design from the experiences that we're going through with the current vendor vetting. So this is just an overall view of what the future holds for the Office of Admissions. We've also invited Justin Ort, who's here with us. He's the Director of Finance, and he's here to discuss the budget. And so I want to, oh, there he is. So I want to introduce Justin Ort.
Thank you, Amy. And thank you for the opportunity to present to the CBE. I was asked here today to kind of give an overview of the budget and talk about the issues facing the admissions fund. In 2024, the budgeted revenue for the admissions fund was about $26.9 million, and the expenses are about $30.7 million, which is a $3.8 million deficit. We are still finalizing the ending balance for the 2023 admissions fund, and that's going to be about a $7 million reserve. Our financial statements will be finalized at the end of this month, and we'll have that number for sure, but I'm pretty confident it'll be right around $7 million. So that will leave about $3.2 million reserve at the end of 2024, which is 10.7% and well below the 17% minimum reserve policy that the Board of Trustees has set. The budget and forecast are our best prediction at the time. There are things that are always changing, and there are costs that are that we now know about that aren't included in the budget. One of those costs is the MBE is understated in the years 25, 26, and 27 by about $300,000. Those costs have gone up and are not included in the forecast. There are costs in healthcare. Healthcare went up after not going up too bad in the previous couple of years. It went up 20% last year, which impacted the admissions fund by $125,000. Our methodology takes a 3-year blended average. So the 25 and 26 and 27 only has a 7% increase. And so this could be something that impacts the admissions fund going forward. The CalPERS increase last year was 20%, and our forecast only has 11% because we use a blended average. So these are costs that could potentially be understated in the budget going forward. Also, the vacancy rate. This is a cost that the admissions fund is currently overspent in its personnel. The vacancy rate we budgeted bar wide is 8%. Admissions has been about 5% in 2024. So this is an overspend that we're looking at. There's also the revenue for the February exam. It came in, the attorney revenue was a little bit more than we anticipated. The law student applicant was a little bit less than anticipated. And those two things are right around budget. It's a little over budget right now, but we have yet to process refunds. And there are also refunds included in this due to location issues, where some of this revenue will be moved to the July exam because people were given a waiver. We're counting that revenue. We see that revenue now, but it will actually be associated with the July exam. So once the final revenue numbers, we may not get to the revenue we anticipated for the February exam, but we can report back on that later once that stuff has been finalized. I also wanted to talk about the indirect costs. The indirect costs went up significantly for the admissions fund, well, for every fund in 2024. There are about $7 million of one-time, we call them one-time costs in 2024. Some of these were associated with the building sale. The State Bar is going to shrink its footprint in the San Francisco building, but until it does that, it has a much higher lease cost for this year, about $1.3 million higher. It will shrink that cost down. There's also, in order to shrink down, we have a digitization project, which was about $2 million. There's also one-time costs on elevator. The elevator in the Los Angeles building needed a $3 million repair that's going to happen over 2 years. So these are just some of the costs that are in the indirect costs. And in case people don't know what the indirect costs are, those are the costs for the support offices like HR, IT, finance, general services. And so that's what admissions fund has absorbed. The admissions fund pays about 17% of the indirect costs. So for every, $100 million, the admissions fund will pay 170,000 of that cost. In 2023, the budget for 2023, we only budgeted 6 months worth of facilities costs in the San Francisco building, anticipating that we would sell the building. We didn't, in fact, sell the building until November. And so a lot of the costs in the indirect cost model for 2023 were understated. We performed an exercise doing a true up of what the actual costs in 2023 were for the indirect costs. And had we trued up those costs, the admissions fund would have been charged another $640,000 for 2023. But we made the decision because of the admissions fund's condition to not true up those costs. And so those costs were not trued up and are not included in any of the budget or forecasting numbers, but I wanted to bring that to your attention. There is the ability in statute to use some of the proceeds for the admissions fund, but I want to point out that the general fund in 2024 is supposed to end with a $14 million fund balance, which is 11.8%, still below the 17% reserve. The deficit spending in 2025 by the general fund is anticipated at $24 million. So the general fund will become insolvent in 2025 without a fee increase. So there's not really proceeds to attribute to the admissions fund at this time. So that's just a general overview. I'm happy to answer any questions people have on the budget.
Thank you, Justin. I know you're here because the committee wanted you to come back in at this meeting, so I anticipate there might be a couple unmuting questions.
Here's one. So what was the deficit in 2023, Justin? Or maybe you're still doing the math, you don't know, but you just told us how much of the surplus was left over, but how much did we take from the surplus or the reserves last year?
The deficit in 2023, let me look that up. I believe it's around, one moment. I think it's 700. Can get that for you. Right.
Maybe you could bring it back to us in a few
Yeah,
minutes.
I'm sorry. I can get that. I just pinged my coworker. I'll get that to you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, while Justin's bringing that up, I also do want to remind the committee, I see Chad is on, his camera's off, so maybe he was waiting to be kind of formally introduced, but we have the psychometrician that the State Bar works with, Dr. Buckendahl, to answer any questions about the exam development and validation process, and of course, staff can answer any questions about the proposed vendor and course of action.
Justin, this is Michael from the LA office. I have a question. What percentage of your expenditures are on CalPERS? I'm just curious. Number one, and then number two is for some of the CB members who may have not worked in public entities. Could you explain what CalPERS is?
Yeah, CalPERS is the retirement system that the State Bar participates in with its employees. There's a certain percentage of that the employee contributes, and then there's a certain percentage that the State Bar contributes, and those percentages have been going up. The amount that the admissions fund contributes for CalPERS is about, for this year, is 1.3 million. And that's the employer share. The employees contribute an amount. I don't have that off the top of my hand because it's not budgeted. It's contributed by the employees, but the bar's portion is 1.3 million for admissions.
Yeah, it's not a budget question, but somebody mentioned NPR holiday. What does that mean?
I mentioned that, and that was just a term that we try to use to explain in a short way what we could do, and that would be something to bring back to the committee. But that would mean the California accredited schools were concerned about that February administration and how it, could affect their students. So something we could bring back to the committee is tracking and, still recording the bar pass rates at California accredited schools in the February and July exam, but not including it in the 5-year average. So like basically a footnoted year, and then the average would continue in the, the rolling 5-year average would continue, but not be, the math would not include the 25 exams. It's a conversation we can have with the committee if you want to talk about that more. That was a concern that came up from the schools.
So if we're saying that, are we also saying that we don't know that the results of the February exam will be reliable?
No, that's not what we're saying. And I'm glad Chad's camera is off. It was something that the schools were concerned about. So, and bringing to you the concerns from the stakeholder meetings where not all of you were present, that is a way that we could address the concerns, but we are not saying that the exam results in February won't be reliable. What is true is that we will be getting the data on that exam content during the exam administration. So that is what gave those stakeholders pause. So I don't know, Chad, if you want to weigh in on the reliability.
Before he does. So if we don't think that the school's concern has any real basis, I guess I would wonder why we would want to have this holiday.
That would be what the conversation would be with the committee. So right. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to make sure not everyone who was at the law school meetings knew that concern came up.
Yeah, no, I don't want it to be seen as an admission on our part when you're clearly saying we think it's going to be reliable. Is it going to take a little bit longer to release the results though, because you have to do probably more extensive calculations and calibrations?
I think we can do it on the same time frame of the grading time frame. That's my understanding. I don't know. Chad has any more to say. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I will only address the last piece of it because as Audrey said, we are not concerned about the overall reliability of the score, of the scoring, or of the decisions that would be made. And so I think on the accountability side, that's where sometimes from a policy standpoint, there are different considerations that programs will look to. I think with respect to the timeline, because California Bar has a number of constructed response questions, the essays and the PT questions, those do take time to grade. And so from a timing standpoint, the standard setting that would occur, or at least the evaluation of data that would occur, could happen like very quickly after the scoring is completed for the policy body to be able to either affirm or make any modifications to the recommendation that would come out of the committee. So they're unlike, for example, the CPA exam that was mentioned earlier, which has a multi-month delay in releasing the scores while they collected data. They don't have any questions that are human scored. And so their timeline is usually a little more quick afterwards. So as Audrey said, the likelihood is that score reports could be released on a schedule that is pretty similar to what you've had for the last number of years.
So the written scoring is the critical path limitation here.
Yeah, well, it's the critical time constraint post-administration. Yes.
It's good to know. Thanks.
I can answer the question on the 23 budget now if you'd like.
Sure.
The 23 budget was adopted to have about a $7 million deficit, but the revenues were higher by about $2 million and the expenses were lower by roughly $1 million. So it was actually a $4 million deficit in 23. So when from
the same sort of differences in this year?
The revenue for last year, I think, was we don't anticipate that revenue, and we haven't seen that revenue. We had about $1 million in February more revenue. Right now, we're right around budget, and that doesn't include all the things I talked about. So we don't anticipate a revenue increase the same as that. And the expenses that were reduced were built into the budget. So I don't anticipate a $3 million positive swing this year. No, I think it will be the other way.
Okay, thanks. So are you guys done and you're just looking for questions now? Because I've got questions.
Yes, let us have it.
Okay, Dr. Buckenthal, during the event for law schools earlier this week, you were talking about improving the multiple choice questions to eliminate some ways in which they can be misleading or confusing to applicants. Could you go over a little bit of that again? And one thing you said was that a question, and you used a medical example, which asked something on the order of, which one of these 4 symptoms is not indicative of a heart attack, was somehow not a good formulation of the question. And I really wasn't seeing the point, at least in that kind of particular framing of a particular type of question. So could you talk to that a little bit?
Sure. So within the testing community, over the last number of years, there have been improvements in the type of items that are written and in terms of recommendations of what kind of constitutes best practice. And we know that what's been communicated, I think even from NCBE on this, is that there are certain item types that may continue to live in their item bank, but are not items that they are planning to introduce more of, or wouldn't necessarily produce those particular variations of multiple choice questions if they were writing new questions today. And the couple examples I think that I talked about earlier this week, one of which is considered, it's called a negatively worded stem. And so it's when you ask something that is asking somebody to think in kind of the either the inverse or the converse, when it's not necessary to kind of elicit the response or to get to what you're really measuring. And so the example I think I used from the medical space, there were a couple examples. One was from like the idea of a drug interaction. And so in terms of a negatively worded stem, a question that might say, which of the following drugs has a negative interaction or an adverse interaction with a certain other drug that's being presented. So because you're having to think about, okay, well, which of these don't play well together, it's kind of having to think in the opposite of what you're typically asking somebody to do in terms of saying, well, what do you know? As opposed to, well, do you know what not to know or what not to do in a particular situation? And I think the example of like symptoms of a heart attack, and again, not being a medical person, I'm probably like not the appropriate person to talk about what is kind of a natural cognitive process that physicians or healthcare professionals use in that instance. The point being is that if we are asking applicants about something that like does not fit a pattern, it should be something that is also then connected to something that is very job related. So if those sorts of questions, like for example, asking somebody, like an exception to the hearsay rule, for example, that might be a natural thing that somebody is asked to think about in practice and apply that. But if we're asking the question in a negative phrasing, just to make the question more complex for no reason, then that's kind of that's discouraged by the best practice literature that's come out, like I said, a number of years.
Okay, thanks. I'll keep going if nobody else has something. Okay, so I guess Audrey, you're producing a study guide for students and for the teachers.
Yeah.
It's not because you think the test has changed, though, to be clear, right? It's just to be user-friendlier bar?
Right. I think it'll be helpful. And these are things, it'll be very similar to what the NCBE currently charges students and faculty. So I think it would be helpful and a value add that we can fold in to this whole process.
But it's not an admission that we're changing it and the 2-year rule applies or anything like that.
No, just sample questions that we will release.
Okay, and then you're currently just discussing with one vendor.
Well, we had the RFI and we were in discussions with multiple vendors.
Okay, so you're at the point where you pick somebody who you think is best qualified to do what we need to have done.
Right.
Okay. The remote proctoring was described as being live.
Right.
And I think it was implied, at least my ears heard an implication that that's better than the way we did it in the past. But here's my concern. Will we have like a video record so if somebody appeals their sentence, if you will, based on, will we be able to look at the video rather than just the proctor said, applicant said, sort of standoff as far as trying to decide what happened?
Yeah, so we're doing live remote proctoring with the first year exam now. And the way that works is their retention policy is such that they delete videos maybe every 30 days, but we have the option on our end to take the videos and download them and use them in our process for Chapter 6.
So we would for any case where we're thinking about disciplining?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess this vendor is going to exit if they're in any kind of bar prep relationship with potential takers of our test. Is that?
Yes, that was a condition in the original RFI and in the negotiations. Yes.
Do you think that really makes sure that it's not going to be some kind of conflict or crossover of data that would, because I can see their competitors being kind of nervous about this and also nervous about your study guide because you're taking away a little bit of their work product.
Well, that's why it's already the goal is to have that very similar to what the NCBE charges for currently. They currently, charge for study guides and sample questions. And so that's sort of the frame. So it would be similar to that.
Yeah. So it's not as much of a competitive hit to them as, okay. Remote sites or vendor operated sites, you use the term vendor operated testing sites. Is that because in the same way the MCBE uses it and says you can't give their test privately on site? Right.
So it's sort of confusing. So what we do now are jurisdiction run facilities. That's how our phrasing and the NCBE's phrasing about how they allow their questions to be administered are these jurisdiction run facilities. And what we want flexibility with is to do test centers. And so I can imagine in the public, a test center in a facility might be like in normal English, very similar. But what we're trying to differentiate is that the test centers are the vendor owned ones. Like right now with our vendor for the first year exam, they have test centers, sort of like and some of the committee members went and saw these test centers. It was like cubicles, and you can go sit at a cubicle and take the exam. It's, under 30 cubicles in each of these little test centers, or you can choose perhaps to test remotely in that live remote proctoring, but it would be very different to what we run now with the standard sites where there's 1,500 people in a room.
Yeah, so I've been told that you feel like you have enough capacity, the vendors you're looking at have enough capacity to handle the February crowd, but can they scale that up to the, double number of applicants test takers we're likely to see in July of next year?
Right, that's what we're asking for in the proposal, separate to what we're talking about today about the questions. Those proposals from the vendors would include all of our capacity and the higher expectations, right? Can you meet this higher, what we think might be the higher end in a July exam?
And do you think that's out there? maybe it's a combination of several, or?
Yes, I think it's out there based on what we've received back.
Okay.
And I think what could be, sorry, maybe Cody's going to say this. Our test takers now, some of them have to fly into California, right? So people, the advantage of this is that if you are one of those schools in Boston, you can take the exam in Boston at a test center or remotely. So some of it is because the capacity will be more diffuse than coming into California.
Is there more than one school in Boston? Thanks, you exhausted me.
Well,
Cody,
I would just
sorry.
no problem. I wanted to just add for some additional context what might be also kind of behind the term vendor-owned test center. It may be kind of maybe we underappreciated what is behind that. But what I wanted to flag was that because they're vendor-owned, those companies certainly take on a lot of the operational complexities and costs that come with administering the exam. There's also benefits such as kind of a more professionalized full-time staffing of proctors, which have certain expertise and experience. So there's a lot behind, I guess, those two words, vendor-owned, that I think bring a lot of benefits and cost savings to the bar, and I just wanted to underline that.
That's a really good point. So yes, what we do now to hire, casual workers for a few days, and where that's really hard to source, we hire from temp agencies. All that expense that we do now just twice a year, if we go with these vendors where that is their business, then they already have the personnel built in. More questions?
Yeah.
We have a Alan's got a question.
Just to be clear, Cody, if we're using these vendor-owned centers, will they administer both parts of the exam, the written and the multiple choice at the same sitting? Is that what we're talking about?
That's correct. Not to answer for Cody, but he is also saying that's correct.
I was saying that was correct. I was going to just make the distinction. We brought to the committee months ago research on the one-day remote. So it's important to clarify. Because we would have a new vendor along with the flexibility to use an alternative approach, we would also have that gain flexibility of doing a 2-day either remote or vendor or combination. So we are talking about a unified experience for both components of the exam.
Because I think it's important to keep it unified rather than split them on different days or whatever we were talking about before.
Yeah, that's the whole point of getting rid of the MBE or the multiple.
Yeah.
What about handwriting? How's that going to fit in?
I think someone who wanted to handwrite the exam would have to go to a test center. I think that if that was their preference, they would probably rank test center as opposed to remote. I think they would want.
The test centers will be set up to collect the papers and securely mail them to you and all that.
That's right.
This is Robbie. So Audrey, I'm trying to picture, because I did look at some test centers for the bar that were, well, they're small. So is the idea that the vendor is going to lease space to hold, 200 cubicles instead of the 30 that we saw? Or I'm a little confused on how I know how we do it, but what is the idea for the future?
I think it'll be similar to what we're doing right now for the first year exam, where some of the examinees are testing in the live remote proctoring and some are going to test centers based on what they preference maybe in their application. And as Cody said, we've been doing post-exam surveys since we had that October 2020 exam, the July exam that moved to October. So in all these post-exam surveys, 75% plus applicants would like to test remotely. So I think there would be a lot of preference maybe for the remote option with live remote proctoring, and then those who preferenced test centers would have test centers. So, and depending on the vendor, they have varying numbers of seats. They have varying numbers of test centers. And again, we would have the advantage of not just national test centers. So it's not just, I made a joke about a certain school in Boston, but there could be, there's also schools, law school students in Kentucky who might fly here, where they would be able to take it at a test center if they preferred. And also these vendors have international test centers. So some of the international folks that currently fly and get hotel rooms and take the bar exam here could test, you know, where they are. So we've been doing some analysis on zip codes and where everyone has been testing from. And so some of the capacity in California would be drawn down if people chose test center, because there's test centers in other states and also internationally. And then we also have the remote capacity.
So, and again, just so that I'm clear, the Pasadena Center is the one I'm most familiar with because so in July, that holds a little over 1,000, maybe 1,100, 1,000 typists and 100 writers. So is the idea that, let's say, the majority of those would prefer to test remotely and they would be able to do that, and the ones that either require accommodations or want to go to a test center, the test centers that are around would be sufficient for that smaller crowd? Is that the hope, I guess?
Yeah, the hope is to balance the capacity between the remote option and a test center option.
So is the vendor that would be administering it at the test centers the same one that would be responsible for the remote administration?
That's right. So currently, just like the first year options that the first year students have, it's the same vendor that does the live remote proctoring and the test centers.
Doesn't have to be though, right?
It doesn't have to. I mean, in terms of those conversations, there are a variety of different ways to administer an exam in 2024, and we've been talking to a variety of different vendors, but that is a possibility. A lot of those companies do both live remote proctoring and test centers, or they partner with someone that does one or the other.
And Audrey, this is Robbie again. Do you know what other now that COVID has passed, what other high stakes exams are doing remote administration of their exam? Are there any ones that we like SAT or LSAT or MCAT?
Oh, yeah, well, the LSAT, those are all, well, actually, no, I won't misspeak. I actually don't know which ones are for sure administered also remotely. I know a lot of them do the test center model, and I believe some of them are administered remotely, but not the LSAT, I don't believe. And then there's so many things happening nationally, even in our space, right, in terms of how the bar exam is changing in jurisdictions across the US. So I know the Nevada court is looking at doing, breaking up the exam in different ways, right? So to administer the multiple choice remotely or in test centers, similar to what we're talking about, but breaking it up, kind of not tying it to the written portion. So like doing it at a different time in law school. That's something that's an option that's on the table for different jurisdictions. That just sticks out in my mind because I know they're working that through in the Nevada court. So I think that it's all that landscape, all of it is changing. And we did have the benefit of that disruption, right, in terms of what happened during the pandemic. And that's also why people started talking more in the licensure space about, you know, what we have before the court with our portfolio bar exam, right? So the different pathways to licensure. So I think I think that landscape is all fluid right now and a lot of change happening. And the National Conference of Bar Examiners themselves are going to use test centers for accommodations with their next gen, something they never said they would do with the UBE. So I think it's all, yeah, it's all going to look different in a few years.
Have you given any thought, once this thing is up and running, to trying to make a few bucks by licensing to other states who might want to use it?
I think what's exciting is the possibility of a consortium of other states, because we're not, like I said, we're not the only ones thinking about what to do next with the licensure process, the bar exam process. So yeah, I think that is an exciting possible addition to this conversation in the future.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think the staff has done a great job on this. They are less than half. They're less than halfway done, because once we decide to go this route, as you can all can see, this is a multi-layered, multifaceted process, a lot of questions that are going to need to be answered. I'm just looking at it from the 30,000-foot level. And all I can say is, that old expression, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And the lemon we got was a really, really severe budget deficit that is an existential threat to the viability of the bar that we have to address. And it forced us to look at new approaches. And the interesting thing is that I think the whole bar exam process is going to end up being better than what we have now. One example being the remote options, the geographic diversity options. Now, if somebody lives in Fresno or in Bakersfield, they don't have to come to LA or San Francisco to take the bar exam. They can do it at a local facility. Even somebody out of state, somebody who's going to law school back east and they want to, take the California bar exam, they can take the exam there. They don't even necessarily have to travel to the state. So it just opens up so many opportunities for improving the current product. And this is a blessing in disguise. So I'm all for it.
I just have a procedural question. What are the next steps? We're recommending this to the Board of Trustees. Does it then go to the Supreme Court?
It does not. So our next step is our motion that we have. If we're ready to do that, we can put it up in a second. And then the May 16th and 17th Board of Trustees meeting, this will be there for approval, the actual vendor contract.
And you don't have the vendor selected yet, correct? You're still vetting them?
Unfortunately, we can't say the name of the vendor that we are having the negotiations because that is obviously not a best practice in negotiations. But
so you're negotiating with a specific vendor at this point.
That's right. So we met with many vendors to develop the questions, and then we are in negotiations with the vendor now. Are there any more questions before we bring up the motion? For any of us, and Justin, Chad, we're all on the table.
Bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So can we put up the motion then if there's no other discussion or questions? So the motion is on the screen. Is there someone that's willing to make the motion?
I have a question.
Oh, wait, we have a question from Larry.
Yeah, this is just about developing bar exam questions. What about like administration? It's just seemed the whole conversation we just had was much broader than the question.
Right, you're right. But this is we have to have this first step in order to do the other, right? So we have to have a change in vendor approved and then to do the rest. But we are parallel. We are speaking to many vendors and happy to continue engaging the committee liaisons, which you are one of them, Larry, in all those kinds of conversations. But this is the necessary first step to be able to do the second.
So we don't need to vote. We don't need to have a vote on the other stuff yet. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Well, and we can't because we can't do the new administration without the approval of the new questions.
Yeah, and contracts with vendors like this aren't normally brought to us.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So Audrey, this is Michael. Before we ask for a motion, I actually wanted to see if our other liaisons had any comments, like Alex Chan or Vince Reyes. Do you have any comments? Because you're involved, and we appreciate your advice and opinion.
No, just to reiterate what Larry said, I think the staff is and in conversation with the liaisons, really raised a lot of good questions. So I think what you raised earlier, Larry, about all the other things that need to be considered. I agree that this is like the first step, and then we can take those questions into consideration back in the subcommittee.
Thank you, Vince. Robbie, did you have any more comments as a liaison?
Well, it's just, not to echo what Larry said, that I expected to see more in terms of the motion, because this doesn't really speak to, the different ways that we're talking about administering the test and Audrey, do those things also need approval by the Board of Trustees to come later, or by approving this motion, do we kind of fold that all in?
I think what we could do, because we have the liaisons and we have the ability to update you obviously along the way, would be to continue to engage and get your advice on the other conversations about the administration. I think that's very helpful to us. But right now we need this this approved to be able to do the other. And then when we get those kinds of actual hard and fast contract proposals from vendors, because we have the ability to actually change the way we administer the exam, then with those kinds of contracts will get approved by the board. But I think involving the CBE liaisons and updating the full CBE at the subsequent meetings would be something that we should definitely do as staff.
But Audrey, then, and Larry, shouldn't the motion be to retain a new vendor to develop bar exam questions and the administration of the bar exam? Because that's going to be the vendor's role to help us decide test centers versus remote, right? I mean, there's more to it than just the question.
There might be a different vendor.
Yeah, so that might be, maybe I answered your other question, not knowing you. So the vendor, the test developer vendor is not the same as the live remote proctoring test center vendor, because those spaces don't overlap. But yeah, so, and I know it's confusing because we keep saying vendor, and it's a confusing word to just say multiple times but mean different things. But vendor in this motion is that test development vendor.
So this is the first step, and then the next step would be the administration, blah blah blah. And when would that come? When would we talk about that, at the June meeting?
Yeah, we can update that at the June meeting. I think now that if we have this step, and then the board also might have their own robust conversation about this in May, and then we'd really be able to, we've been meeting with these proctoring vendors, I'll call them the proctoring, and we actually can really move to narrow down once we have freedom to say we can administer it in a new way. But I would think there would definitely be an update in June.
Well, there's a guy who often complains that we get cut out of decisions. I'm pleased to see that our recommendation is being solicited here, and I trust that. Sure, talk to the liaisons, but I, as a member of this committee and not one of those people, would also like to receive those updates. So bring them back. But we recognize that ultimately, contracting for services like this, that's the purview of the Board of Trustees. So I'll make the motion, because I think this is a step to get it going. If we don't get those new questions, we're going to have to use the MCBE for a couple more years, and we've decided that's really bad for our bottom line. So I don't think we can afford to let this process do anything but go forward as quickly but as effectively as it can. So I make the motion on the screen.
Is there a second for Paul's motion from anyone from the committee?
Larry?
What?
You want to make the second?
You want to make the second?
Okay,
I'll make the second.
Because you seem to be okay with that.
Okay, so Larry makes us, Larry, if I hear you correctly, you're making the motion to second.
Yeah.
Second that? Okay, all right. Alan, you have a question, comment?
Just a comment. I'm going to have to abstain from the vote. I previously served as a subcommittee member for national conference, and I may be in the future. So I think it's best that I abstain from the vote.
Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, any other questions or comments before we take a roll call vote from our committee members? Seeing or hearing none, Devin, can you go ahead and take a roll call vote?
Dr. Bolton,
Yes.
Robert Brody,
Yes.
Alex Chan,
Yes.
Jim Efting,
Yes.
Kareem Gangora,
Yes.
Larry Kaplan,
Yes.
Paul Kramer, Alex Lawrence,
Yes.
Esther Lynn, Justice Macy Walla,
Yes.
Bethany Peak, Ashley Silva Guzman,
Yes.
Judge Reyna,
Yes.
Vince Reyes,
Yes.
Alan Yokelson,
Abstain?
Dr. Cow.
Yes.
With 13 yeses and 0 nos, the motion passes.
Thank you, Devin. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is agenda item number 5, report from the director. I'm going to turn it over to Audrey.
Thank you. Cody, you want me to share?
I can share it. I've got it right in front of me.
Oh, okay.
Just 1 second.
This is going to
Okay.
be Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Oh, yeah. And I think that's Amy first, right?
Yep.
Amy, you're muted there. Sorry, Amy.
Okay, no problem. Dr. Cow just unmuted us. All right, so I want to provide an update on where we're at with the California bar exam experiment. So at our last meeting, we talked about the law school engagement that we embarked on to try to gather ideas on on ways to incentivize this. And so with that, we met with the law schools. We've reached out to law schools that expressed interest in participating, perhaps even using the bar exam experiment as a capstone or as a bar exam prep in order to yield the number of study participants that are required. As you recall, when we conducted the pilot California bar exam experiment in October, we invited about roughly 2,500 study participants, and we had a total of 171 participate. So for the actual experiment that we're targeting around October of 2024, we're looking to have about 2,000 study participants. So we, in reaching out to the law schools, it sounds like October is the most helpful date that would elicit more participation. And we're still testing on the same components, which are the various open book options, the remote versus in-person, and also the varying time allocations. The components of that experiment are essays and multiple choice. When we conclude with the actual experiment, we plan to bring the results back to this committee, and we anticipate that happening in 2025. So again, our goal to meet the 2,000 study participants will also allow us to extend the invitation to all California law schools and possibly even look at out-of-state law schools in the event that we cannot make our numbers. But that is our plan, and we'll continue to bring updates leading into the actual experiment to this committee. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Great. So that's me now. We in January set a goal to bring to the committee more consistently data and trends that will help inform discussions moving forward. So I want to share just a few admissions related and bar exam related trends that we've pulled from the most recent data available. Again, this is all meant to help inform the committee's discussions on various topics. This first slide, you know, will actually be somewhat redundant to the discussion we just had and Justin's comments from the Office of Finance, but we wanted to share what was ultimately the final budget that was presented to the board in February. This is the 2024 budget, and as you can see, it projects a $3.8 million deficit. This is for just the admissions fund alone. And again, with the context that this helps inform our discussions, in our previous discussion about the possibility to administer alternative exam administration approaches, we talked about how potential savings between $3 and $4 million could significantly close or fully eliminate this deficit. Now, moving forward, we wanted to show some of the most recent trends from our February bar exam. And I want to just provide some context here. What we are presenting are test takers. So these are individuals who sat for the full exam. We have the ability to aggregate our data in various ways. Sometimes we present the applications number that we've received or approved. But in the context of putting the February exam into picture, I think comparing folks who sat for the entirety of the exam is a good comparison. And so you can see there's an upward trend, both with standard test takers and as well that lighter kind of turquoise line represents those who receive testing accommodations. We are seeing an upward trend, albeit it might be slowing down, still moving in the upward direction. Now we have our upcoming July bar exam, and what we presented here are the number of test takers. Again, those are folks who sat for the entirety of the exam each July since 2021. What you're seeing in 2024 are the number of approved applications to sit for the July exam. So this just gives you an indication of where we're at as far as staying on pace to hit a certain number. We had forecasted for our exam administration estimates 7,528 individuals sitting for the exam. We already have 6,476 applications submitted and approved. So we'll likely come back at a future meeting with the final number of test takers, and we can compare those year over year in a different way. I also wanted to share with the committee an update on the fees proposal that was presented to the board related to the California Accredited Law Schools. The board approved at its March meeting several changes to the existing fees. First, the fee would be renamed from the periodic compliance report fee to the accreditation services fee. And this was meant to communicate its purpose a little more clearly. The periodic compliance report fee's name stemmed from the fact that that fee was collected when we collected the annual reports, the compliance reports, but it did not properly reflect the fact that those fees are used to fund various accreditation services beyond just the annual report data gathering and analysis. After discussion with the law schools, various discussions that we held, we presented and the board approved a fee calculated on each school's prior year's enrollment, which was the preference of the schools in these discussions. We also made other modifications. We removed a fee for schools that have separate branches or satellite campuses. Again, another preference communicated by the schools in those discussions. So what was approved at the March meeting was kind of the contours of what this new accreditation services fee would look like. We will be returning to the board in July to kind of finalize the methodology that will be used to count the prior year's enrollment numbers. This is in response to some feedback from the law schools about maybe some reporting hiccups or inconsistencies in the annual report. And this is an opportunity for us to consider that as we create a final methodology. And so we will go to the board in July, again, with a final methodology, as well as the clarifying language in the schedule of fees, schedule of charges and deadlines that's posted to the State Bar's Law School website, in which communicates the various fees that law schools are responsible for.
Cody, San Francisco has its hand up. I'm not sure if it's Paul or Vince.
Go ahead.
Yeah, guess who? So Cody, with these new fees, is are the full costs of the program being projected to be recovered by the fees, or is there a gap still to be filled from other places?
I believe there still is a gap. If you remember, there was an initial proposal brought to the board at the end of 2023, and that initial proposal was intended to fully close the gap. The board asked that staff adjust that proposal, and so what was brought to the March meeting, I think, helped close the gap, but did not fully close that gap.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay, then I'll pass it to the...
This is a reminder about our next meeting, which is remote. The June meeting will be not in person. I know we've done prior June meetings in person. This one will be remote. Our August 16th meeting will be in person. But just another reminder that tomorrow is question selection for the July exam for the attorney members. Quorum is very important to have for question selection. You should have received information from Adrian about tomorrow's question selection. So just a reminder that we need those attorney members present tomorrow. I think that might be all from us. And from, I believe, Dr. Cow, that is the end of open if you want to.
So I wanted to just get a survey from all our members that we're done with the open session at about 11:25. My understanding, Amy, is that maybe our closed session,
Roughly about 45.
Our closed session may be around 45 minutes to an hour. So I'd like to get a survey, is that does the group think we should take a short 5-10 minute break, go to closed session, finish the closed session in 45 minutes to an hour? Or does the group want to take a lunch and then go to the closed session for 45 minutes to an hour? I'm just trying to get a gauge of what the committee wants to do. Anyone speak up, please? Alan?
I would recommend just going straight through, maybe a 5-minute break.
Okay.
And going straight through.
I see some yeses and thumbs up and agree from Mr. Alex Lawrence. Thank you so much, Chair. All right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take how about a 10-minute break, and we come back in closed session, if that sounds okay with everyone.
Everyone,
Excellent.
the closed session invitation is a calendar invitation from me. So go to that link in 10 minutes.
So 11:40, we're supposed to be back.
10 minutes.
Yes.
Yes. No.
11:35.
11:35. 11:35.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds great. Fast. Back in open session. Oh. All right. Okay, so I just wanted to announce to everyone that the meeting will be going into recess into tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Attorney members will meet in the open session using the panelist link Devin sent this morning, and then we'll go straight to closed session after question selection using the link that Adrian sent. So I just want to clarify, Audrey, do I need to get a motion to go to recess now?
Audrey's not in the meeting, but General Counsel confirmed that we don't need a motion to go into recess. And
Excellent.
then,
thank you, Devin.
and
So,
also,
go ahead.
just to clarify for tomorrow, we actually will go into closed session right away. General Counsel advised that it wouldn't be necessary to go into open. So we'll start in closed session tomorrow for question selection.
And we access that by the link that Adrian sent.
Correct.
Is that correct?
No, that's the link that Devin sent for close.
Oh, no, that's for today's meeting.
Oh, no, this one says April 20th for tomorrow.
After you register, Adrian sends you a special link.
Oh. So what is this link that I got?
Okay. We can discuss offline.
Yes, we
Okay,
discussed
all
that
right,
offline.
sorry.
Okay, so all right, so thank you everyone for your time, and attorney members, thank you for going to the question selection tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll see everyone else in June. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.